Yes, hi, and welcome to the Dark Knight Conspiracies, episode 77. D5, out of chaos comes control. Focus, Michigan. What a week we've had, and there's a lot to get into today. This might be my longest show. I try and keep them short. So just bear with me because I've got a lot to share. So let's just start out with this week, and we'll get into the Michigun towards the end of the program. So here's just a small, and I'm not going to cover most of these topics, but I will comment on some. But this was just on Tuesday of this week, so Monday and Tuesday. Here's what we've had between those 2 days. LeBron James, COVID-19. Como suspended. Dorsey out at Twitter. Maxwell trial started Monday. Smollett trial started Monday. Marilyn Manson's home got raided. 18 congressmen decided not to run. A lot to cover here, and that's just Monday and Tuesday. A lot more has happened later in Tuesday, and again, we'll cover the incident in Michigan towards the end of this video. So I'm going to start with what's a D5? Well, the 17 board names this numerous times, and again, this is a topic for another show. Look, I followed this thing from beginning to end, pretty much, and somewhere in between, I started to realize that this is turning into a cult. It's definitely a psyop, and as time goes on, the more and more that's happening, I'm starting to believe, you might hear this phrase a couple of times, everything starts with good intentions. The problem is later on down the road it gets weaponized. And we can all thank the Patriot Act for that, but I digress. So it's possible that this thing got hijacked, and one of the things that I find interesting, because a lot of stuff has been predicted and came true, and that's why these people follow this stuff. But there's Stanton Friedman used to have an old saying, and he was a nuclear physicist and a UFO, the dean of UFO research, as they call him. He always used to say, you can't tell your friends without telling your enemies. So to sit there and think that the other side doesn't have access to this type of stuff, and this is where I think I could make a whole show on this, but again, I digress. Let's get into this. So I'll start with one clip I found, post 2096. The snowball has begun rolling. There is nothing stopping it now. D5, stay the course, trust the plan. We still don't really know what the plan is, other than it's God's plan, and God wins in the end. Protective measures are in place. I find that interesting. Remain brave. We knew this day would come, and you get the other stuff. So, what is D5? Well, it means a lot of things. There's some military expressions, but there is a U.S. avalanche rating codes. D5 could gouge the landscape. Largest snow avalanche known. Now, given everything that's gone on this week, I always, in previous episode, referred to, it's the old theory of you're on the top of a hill and you make a little snowball and you start rolling it down the hill, and as the snowball goes down the hill, it gets bigger and bigger and bigger as it goes down the hill. So let's just start with our Sleepy Joe. Again, we know the House and the Senate passed this infrastructure bill, the first bill of two bills that are still out there. But, you know, we had to pass it to see what was in it, right? So you get into this bill and, you know, you got... they're going to do all this stuff in new vehicles, and who knows, maybe there'll be a recall and put this in older vehicles, but basically they're going to put a kill switch in there for whatever, vaccine, it says here, jab mandates. There's also talk about DUI, that this will be able to detect alcohol in your vehicles. Well, you know, a lot of stuff we all know from information out there that there's people that have taken NyQuil and have registered through the breathalyzer. Their cough drops can be recognized through the breathalyzer. So basically, they're going to shut your car off. They're getting to the point, here's the bottom line, I guess, is what I'm saying. They're getting to a point where they don't want you driving, period. And I'm not just talking gas cars, I'm talking electric vehicles. This is this whole Green New Deal. They want people in mass transit. They want vehicles off the road. This is where this is going, and they're going to force you to take mass transit. Then we get... This has been going nuts all week. Kamala's staff resigning one after another. Her whole situation is crumbling, and stories out there is there's infighting between her and the Biden administration, and the Orange Man has talked about, you know, the 25th Amendment and this and that, and we saw Sleepy Joe out there coughing and couldn't talk, and this week, and everything's moving at a fast pace, and they're setting this up. I don't know how they're going to do it, when they're going to do it, but it sounds like it's coming pretty quick. They're starting to set the scenario that they're going to get rid of one, if not both. And we kind of know who's going to walk in to the spotlight. What I find interesting here, and again, I'll just speculate, conspiracy theory, somehow I have a feeling her name's going to come up in this Smollett trial. I could be wrong. Well, we'll see how it plays out. But I think the biggest thing that started this week was the Maxwell trial, which is interesting. No press is allowed. No public is allowed. Supposedly, you can call in and listen to it through your phone. Maybe your computer. I don't know. I'm not spending too much time on it. But my question is, well, how the hell is all the information getting out? And why isn't this televised? But it is what it is. We'll see how this plays out. But some names have been dropping. And I'll get to that. Get to that back in a second. And I just want to bring this up. And again, I'm going to bring it up later on. You know, we're seeing this in California. These This is nothing more than organized crime. These groups of people going in and just robbing. Nobody's stopping them. The people that have been reported being arrested, they're just turned around and released. Again, with these stupid laws that they have in place. Now, the reason I'm posting this one is it's being reported that the thieves fired 175 shots. And I'm going to get back to this later on. We get this recently. CNN fires Chris Cuomo because of what he did to protect his brother. And look, I'm not going to get into the whole ethics thing. Yes, he probably should have been fired, and, you know, that's his brother. What do you expect him to do? Yeah, it's the swamp. But you also have the AG out there in New York is the one attacking these people, and I think it's pretty obvious she plans on running for governor. So why not? She's making her case. It just shows you how political all this stuff is. This isn't about the law. This is about getting rid of your opposition and getting them out of the way. Now, what else I find interesting on this, because they're reporting that, CNN has new information. My prediction is somehow I think the Como name is going to come up in this Maxwell trial, and they're trying to get ahead of it. We'll see how it plays out. Maybe not. But what I think is interesting is you have a guy like, I believe his name is Jeffrey Toomer at CNN, who got caught doing stuff on a Zoom call. And he disappeared for a month, but yet he's back. I just find it interesting. Why didn't he get fired? Maybe what he did, I guess, is somewhat acceptable and only requires a suspension. Quite frankly, I think he should have been fired too. Then this didn't make much news, but I think it's significant because I do think Mark Taylor and many other spiritual people out there have been talking about how you're going to start seeing some of these people go down. And this broke. Joel Osteen, a plumber, apparently was doing some repairs and, found bags and checks of money in a wall. Roughly $600,000. Connected to a 2014 heist, apparently. This may have got some press. It doesn't ring a bell with me. But it's interesting that this comes out and he got questioned. Well, may have not had anything to do with it, but we'll let this one play out. And then we got this stuff going on. I don't know. I'm trying not to focus too much on it because I think all this is distraction from what the original issues are, which is the administration and the Maxwell trial. I mean, everybody's going off in different directions, and Linwood is off the charts. He's just going crazy, accusing people of this and that. He's gone after Flynn, he's gone after Sidney Powell, he's gone after Patrick Byrne, Clay Clark, the list goes on. And if you follow him on Telegram, you know what I'm talking about. Whatever. But this just shows the infighting, and everybody's starting to attack everybody now, which kind of tells me we're getting close. we're getting close to whatever's going to happen is going to happen on a biblical scale, because this is all spiritual. So now we're going to get into the main event that's been getting all the press since Tuesday, and tragic as it is, prayers and thoughts go out to all the families and communities involved. But we had the school shooting in Oxford, and this has been twist after twist after twist after twist. And by the way, this is Oxford, Michigan. Excuse me. And we're starting to see, well, not starting to see, but you kind of get the idea. An agenda, again, is being fulfilled here. And I'm going to be all over the place with this one, because this has got so many twists and turns in it. We all know what happened. It's actually 4 people now that were killed and 11 injured, and a 15-year-old boy in custody. And all the reports, about the social media posts that he had, the message on his desk that he scrawled on his desktop, and the parents were brought in Monday to the school and then Tuesday, and yet the kid was allowed to go back. Here's the bottom line from everything I've ascertained out of this. Once again, this ball has been dropped. This thing could have been totally prevented. And yes, a lot of people are angry, especially the parents of the loved ones and the ones injured and lost. Tragic, small community. And the story was just changing day after day after day. Now, why am I going to focus on this? Well, let's start with that beloved Governor Whitmer in Michigan. Gun violence is a public health crisis that claims lives every day. We have the tools to reduce gun violence. So here we go. Here we go with the Second Amendment narrative. Now, what I find interesting in the statement, again, do the research. You can go on the CDC website. Back in September, they made the exact same statement, word for word. You see where we're going with this, folks. And, excuse me again. I just look into this face, and I don't know if it's just me, but I just see pure evil. And I almost see a grin. Like, she tried to come out and give a heartfelt statement, which, as the governor, she should. And I'm going to get into this a little bit down the road. So let's just start getting into some details. So, the school counselors allowed Crumley to stay in class on the day of the shooting after he claimed the graphic drawing of blood and bullets was part of his plan to make a video game. Okay. Interesting. But we also know from his social media that he had pictures and posts of videos of what he was going to do, and pictures of him holding the weapon. And let's see, claimed that his homework was outstanding, the parents came in, yada yada yada. And again, these look like outstanding people. And quite frankly, the The kid's face looks demonic. There's something wrong with him. Again, it's a mental health issue. I don't care. Anybody that can kill anybody and not have any remorse for what they've done doesn't have a soul, and it's a mental health issue. But on top of this note, they had this note. Thoughts won't stop. Help me. My life is useless and the world is dead. And this is coming from the prosecutors. So the parents were summoned to the school, and the parents reluctantly decided to tell anything about the weapon that was purchased as a present, which, by the way, Michigan has a law. Anybody under 18 is not allowed to own a gun. And this is deeper than this, because schools were shut down pretty much for every day of the week and throughout Michigan as threats were coming in left and right, and we'll get into that. But the parents are the ones that dropped the ball on this, because they didn't say anything. They obviously knew their son was disturbed. The mother had texted him, "Oh, please don't do it." I mean, these people are just stupid to a certain degree. And then the parents, prior to being charged, stayed in a motel because they, feared, they didn't want to stay in their home, feared for their lives, understandable. And somehow the ball was dropped there, because what was being reported was they were under surveillance, but at some point the surveillance stopped, and they were allowed to flee. So they were on the run. Lawyer made a statement. My clients were going to turn themselves in and planned on it, but they got backstabbed because the prosecutor made a press conference before any arrangements could be made, and yada, yada, yada. Again, the ball was dropped. Columbine, Sandy Hook, Aurora, Parkland. Do these things ring a bell? Here's my question. Why haven't we learned anything yet? Now, granted, from what I've read, and from people I've talked to in that community that I know, they have drills, they go through exercises, they've had training, and the sheriff in his press conference said, if it wasn't for this, who knows how many more lives would have been lost. So there are some things that did work. But getting back to, everything still has the same. There was enough evidence out there to have something done. And what's interesting about this one is this is one of the cases where no law enforcement was brought in at any point of this. And some of this is falling on the school, and they're facing heat for it, and as well they should. Because I don't know why, number one, if the parents were any kind of parent, they would have taken their kid out of school and they would have put them in counseling. Number two, whoever the person was at the school that met with the parents for 2 straight days, I'm not sure why they didn't tell the parents, you need to take your kid home and don't bring him back until you can prove he's in counseling. I mean, kids get sent home for less worse than what happened here. This is my point. Some protocols were dropped. This is why this is the definition of insanity again. Doing the same thing over and over and expecting different results. I'm not sure why protocols weren't followed. But look, everybody can be a Monday morning quarterback. I'm sitting back. I'm going to let the facts come out on this one. I'm not going to make any judgments other than this could have been prevented. So then we get the parents, like I said, fled. And they were found less than 24 hours later in a building in downtown Detroit near the river, which only a couple miles separate Detroit from Canada. And they were seen being let into the building, so now there's an accomplice that helped them get into that building. And they were, their vehicles were found, which again, is this stupid or something else going on here? Because again, most people might be ignorant to the fact that, your vehicles have black boxes. Your newer vehicles now have tracking ability where you have no ability to shut that off. So the fact that they fled in their own vehicles is just astounding to me. And quite frankly, I actually thought when they fled that if they were found, it would have been suicide. So I'm kind of surprised. I was wrong there. I'm kind of surprised that they were found. But I think there's a reason, possibly, and I'll get into that. If you stay with me, I'm going to try and connect all this. So they flee, get captured, and now they have them all. And as well they should. Now my first question is, whoever this individual that helped these parents, what the hell is wrong with you? And it may come out that they were the ones that reported to the authorities where they were. I'll wait and see how it played out. But if that's not the case, who in their right mind would, knowing all the pain and anguish that's gone on in these communities, who on earth would help these people? And I don't have an answer for that. So now getting back into, then all of a sudden you get the copycats, but from what the sheriff has reported, that there seemed to be some social media private chat rooms, like this was going to be possibly done in several places. I don't know, can't vet it. I'll wait and see what they come up with. The investigation's ongoing, and I'll let that play out. I'm not going to make any speculation. You got to have proof, but they're claiming they got pictures of students posting videos and pictures with guns and everything, and I'm going to go back to my question, how the hell are these kids getting guns? I just think it's a logical question, but yet the press won't ask it. I wonder why. So this is where I'm going to tie this all up in a bow, because we already know the first agenda. I believe there's two agendas going on here now, and this didn't come to me till later into the week. But I'm going to play a clip from the governor, and I want you to listen to this.
In the village of Oxford.
My heart goes out to the families. This is an unimaginable tragedy. I hope that we can all rise to the occasion and wrap our arms around the families, the affected children and school personnel, and this community. It is an unimaginable tragedy, and I just wanted to be here because I think this is an important moment for us to support one another, to support this community, and I want to thank our first responders again. I think this is every parent's worst nightmare.
I'm Tyler Malden for CNN. We have yet another powerful...
Okay. So there you have it. Now, my question is, what did you hear? I heard a possible, genuine concern, Because quite frankly, it is. It's every parent's worst nightmare. That something, they send their kids off to school and something like this happens. But I kind of heard something different. I heard projection. Because what do we have going on right now, especially with the schools throughout the country? You have parents being accused of being terrorists for standing up to their school boards. You have surveillance going on. And to my knowledge, this is the first case where the parents are being charged. Because we had Columbine, Sandy Hook, Aurora, and Parkland. None of those parents got charged with anything. Yet they're picking on these, and rightfully so. Don't get me wrong. These parents are responsible in a big way for this. But one of the charges is terrorism. They're charging the kid with terrorism. And by the way, I'll tell you right now, the defense is going to play the shooter. The kid is the victim. And the parents as the ones responsible. Just my prediction on that one. But where did we get these terrorism charges from? Well, we got them from the Patriot Act, right? Again, everything starts with good intentions, and then it gets weaponized. Well, now, parents are being accused of being terrorists for standing up to their school boards. And supposedly the same thing happened in this, where, again, I wasn't there, I wasn't part of it. The trial will bring this out, but supposedly the parents told the counselor, you can't kick my kid out of school. He's got rights. He knows his rights, and might have bullied the counselor a little bit. I don't know. Can't vet it. I'm just telling you what's being reported because, again, social media goes wild. Everybody and their mother's out there reporting, oh, they knew this, they knew that. But what happened not too recently? Why wasn't Waukesha man charged with terrorism? I mean, plowing a car into 50, 60 people? That's not terrorism? Gangs going into stores in California, firing 175 shots? That's not terrorism? You see what I mean? You select who you want to charge with that. And, I might be, look, it is a form of terrorism. All of this is a form of terrorism. My point is, if you're going to do it, you got to do it across the board. You don't pick and choose. So, what's interesting, and I'm going to again, why this is all spiritual. It came out with this Waukesha that a couple days prior to, the cartoons came into play. And I don't know, I kind of do know, why are cartoons always focused with predicting the future, right? We all know Satan has a weakness. He has to tell us what he's going to do before he can do it. And obviously, it's spiritual. This is why they're using the cartoons, because that's how they're telling us. Well, supposedly, prior to the Waukesha incident, there was a trailer for a South Park episode which showed a red vehicle plowing through the streets and knocking over children. Go figure. And, The Simpsons, South Park, Futurama, Family Guy, these have all had a play in all of this stuff. But I digress. as I said, a lot to unravel here this week, and I didn't even cover half of what's going on. And I'll get back to the projection of this is a parent's worst nightmare, because I do think this is where they're going to go, and they're going to use social media, and they're going to start taking kids away from their parents from what they're posting. So I encourage every parent, you need to sit down and talk with your children and explain to them they better be very, very careful of what they post out there. Because I do believe they're going to use this to start going after parents. My opinion only. That's why I call this the conspiracy show, my prediction. And we all know Luke 8:17. For nothing is secret that shall not be made manifest, neither anything hid that shall not be known and come abroad. If you don't think this is spiritual, everything's being revealed right now. So regardless what you think, this is obviously spiritual, and I hope you're right. Make yourself right with your maker, because we know who wins in the end. And last, I just want to shout out prayers and condolences to the family of Kurt Wilson. For many of you that don't know him, I used to listen to him on Sunday night radio back in the day. He formed a company called Survival Enterprises, which I've been buying products from there for years. This is not an endorsement. This was a true patriot. This was a man you could call on the phone if you had any questions, and he would help you. In his radio show, again, he would talk about a lot of controversial subjects, but he would focus on getting yourself prepared for what was coming. We lost Kurt just prior to Thanksgiving, and my thoughts and prayers and condolences go out to the family. So with that, I'll leave you with stay strong, stay safe, stay vigilant, be prepared, stay strong, and pray for this country, and pray for these children, because that's who's being attacked. And pray for the people of Oxford. Zebra 3, take us home.